There is a pain you've felt before. Not sharp, not dramatic, not easy to describe. It doesn't stay in one place. It moves quietly through your body, your thoughts, your mood. Some days it feels like heaviness, other days like emptiness, sometimes like tension you can't release, and when you try to explain it, you can't. So you don't. You tell yourself it's nothing, that you're just tired, that it will pass, but it keeps returning. This kind of pain is confusing because it doesn't have a clear story. There was no single moment you can point to, no obvious wound, no clear reason. And because you can't name it, you begin to doubt it. You wonder if you're overreacting, if you're being ungrateful, if this pain even deserves attention. But unnamed pain doesn't disappear. It waits. It shows up in your body when you slow down, in your thoughts when things go quiet, in the background of moments that should feel fine. Tonight, we are not here to diagnose you. We are not here to force meaning onto your experience. We are here to name something that has been silently living inside you, because pain you can't explain is not imaginary. It is unrecognized, and once it has a name, it no longer controls you from the shadows. Listen, your inner voice knows what this pain has been trying to say. Pain becomes heavier when it has no language. When you can't explain what hurts, your mind has nowhere to place it. There is no story, no timeline, no clear cause. And without context, pain feels endless because it feels unresolved. This is why unnamed pain is so exhausting. You wake up carrying something you can't identify. You feel off, but not sick, sad, but not depressed, tired, but not in a way rest can fix. And because there is no clear label, you question yourself instead of the pain. Why do I feel this way? There's no reason for this. I shouldn't feel like this. Those thoughts don't relieve the pain, they add weight to it. When pain remains unnamed, it turns inward. It becomes self-doubt. You start to believe the problem is not the experience, but you. That something is wrong with the way you process life, emotions, or stress. But the truth is quieter. Pain without a name is often pain without permission. It comes from moments that were never fully felt, emotions that had no space to move, experiences that required strength instead of expression. Over time, those moments didn't disappear. They layered themselves into a constant background weight. Unnamed pain is cumulative. It's not one event. It's many small silences. Many times you held it together. Many times you moved on too quickly. And because there was never a single breaking point, you never gave yourself permission to acknowledge the cost. This is why this pain feels everywhere. It's in your body as tension, in your mind as fog, in your emotions as numbness or irritability. And because you can't point to one cause, you assume there is no solution. But naming pain doesn't mean dramatizing it. It means recognizing it as real. The moment pain is acknowledged, not fixed, not analyzed, just acknowledged, its weight begins to shift. It stops being something you carry alone in silence. It becomes something you can meet. And this is where healing begins. Not by making the pain smaller, but by making it visible. Because pain that is seen no longer needs to stay heavy to be felt. Pain doesn't always announce itself when it begins. Often it hides, especially in people who learn to be strong early. When life demanded resilience, you adapted, you kept going, you handled what needed to be handled. And because survival required focus, pain learned to wait. You didn't ignore it intentionally, you postponed it. You told yourself there would be time later, after things calmed down, after you were safe, after you were done being strong. But later never came. Pain that is postponed doesn't disappear. It changes form. It stops asking for attention directly and begins to surface indirectly through tension, restlessness, irritability, or a sense of emptiness you can't explain. Because expressing it openly once felt unsafe or impractical, it learned to stay quiet. This is why strong people often say they don't know what hurts. They were never allowed to stop long enough to find out. Being strong taught you to override signals, to stay composed, to function even when something inside you was strained. And the body learned this pattern well. It learned that pain should be managed, not expressed. So pain adapted. It moved into the background of your life. It blended with your personality. It became part of your normal. And when pain becomes normal, it becomes invisible. You may feel it as heaviness without sadness, as fatigue without effort, as anxiety without a clear source. And because there is no obvious wound, you assume the pain isn't real or isn't important. But pain doesn't need a dramatic story to be valid. Much of the pain carried by strong people comes from emotional experiences that had no witness. Moments when you needed reassurance but provided it to yourself. Times when you needed rest but chose endurance instead. These moments don't leave scars you can point to. They leave weight. The kind of weight that settles quietly into your system and waits for silence to surface. Understanding this changes how you relate to your pain. You stop asking, "Why am I like this?" and start asking, "What did I have to carry alone?" Because pain that hides behind strength is not weakness, it is unacknowledged survival. And the moment you recognize that, the pain no longer needs to hide. It has been seen. Pain becomes even harder to carry when it has no clear story. There was no single moment you can point to and say, "This is when it started." No obvious loss, no visible collapse. So your mind searches for explanations and finds none. This is where confusion begins. You feel something is wrong, but you don't know what. You sense discomfort, but you can't locate it. And because the human mind needs narrative to make sense of experience, the absence of a story makes the pain feel irrational. You start questioning yourself instead. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm just ungrateful. Maybe this isn't real. This self-doubt adds another layer to the pain. When pain has no story, it cannot be shared easily. You don't know how to talk about it without sounding vague. And vague pain is often dismissed by others and eventually by yourself. So you stop trying to explain it. You carry it internally, where it slowly reshapes how you experience life. Joy feels muted because pain is unresolved. Calm feels fragile because something underneath hasn't been addressed. Even good moments feel incomplete, as if part of you is somewhere else. This is not because you are broken. It is because pain that has never been acknowledged cannot integrate. Integration requires meaning, and meaning begins with permission to recognize that something mattered, even if it wasn't dramatic, even if no one else noticed. Many forms of emotional pain come from accumulation, not catastrophe. From years of adapting, compromising, holding back, and moving on without pause. And because none of these moments seemed big enough, they were never given space, so they merged. And what you feel now is not one pain, but many, layered together, without distinction. This is why naming pain feels so important. Not to relive it, not to blame anyone, but to give your experience coherence. The moment pain gains language, it gains boundaries. It stops feeling endless. It becomes something you can approach, understand, and eventually release. Until then, it remains confusing, not because it makes no sense, but because it has never been allowed to make sense. And your inner voice knows this. It has been trying to give your pain a story, not to trap you in it, but to finally let it move forward. There is a reason this pain feels so hard to grasp. You were taught not to take it seriously, not directly, not cruelly, but consistently. Somewhere along the way, you learned that what you felt was too much, not that bad, or simply something to get over. You learned to compare your pain to others and conclude that yours didn't qualify. Others had it worse. Others suffered more. Others deserved attention. So you minimized yourself. You told yourself it wasn't worth talking about, that it would pass, that you were strong enough to handle it. And because you handled it, no one questioned it. This is how pain becomes invisible, not because it isn't real, but because it was never allowed to take up space. Minimizing pain doesn't erase it. It compresses it. You pack it down, layer by layer, until it fits inside a functional life. You learn how to smile with it, how to work with it, how to move forward without acknowledging the weight you're carrying. And over time, you forget what you minimized, not consciously, emotionally. You lose access to the original feeling. What remains is a vague heaviness, a quiet discomfort, a sense that something is wrong but unnameable. This is why the pain feels disproportionate now. It's not just today's discomfort you're feeling. It's years of moments that were never given permission to matter. Moments when you needed comfort but gave yourself discipline. Moments when you needed understanding but offered yourself logic. Moments when you needed to stop but forced yourself to continue. Each one seemed small at the time, but pain is not measured by size, it is measured by honesty. And when honesty is postponed, pain accumulates. Minimizing pain also teaches you to distrust your own emotional signals. You stop asking whether something hurts and start asking whether you're allowed to hurt. You seek justification instead of understanding. This creates distance from yourself. You don't feel clearly because you don't listen clearly. And you don't listen clearly because you were trained not to. But pain does not need permission to exist. It only needs recognition. The moment you allow yourself to stop minimizing, not dramatizing, not exaggerating, just acknowledging, something loosens. The pain no longer has to shout through confusion or numbness to be noticed. It can finally be felt for what it is, not weakness, not failure, but a record of what you survived without support. And that realization is not meant to trap you in the past. It is meant to free you from carrying it alone. Pain that is not acknowledged does not remain neutral. It turns inward. When you don't have language for what hurts and you've learned to minimize it, the pain looks for another place to go, and often the only place left is you. This is how emotional pain becomes self-judgment. Instead of thinking, something painful happened to me, you begin to think, something is wrong with me. The focus shifts. You analyze your personality, your reactions, your resilience. You wonder why you can't just move on like others seem to, why you feel heavy when life appears fine, why you carry tension that doesn't match your circumstances. Pain, without a clear direction, becomes identity. It shapes how you see yourself. You may start describing yourself as too sensitive, too guarded, too detached, or too complicated. You internalize the discomfort and turn it into a personal flaw rather than an emotional response. This inward turn is subtle. You don't blame yourself loudly. You do it quietly, through doubt, through comparison, through the constant feeling that you're somehow lagging behind emotionally. And because this pain was never named, it feels permanent. You assume this is just how you are, that this heaviness is part of your nature, not something that developed over time. But pain does not define who you are. It describes what you carried. When pain turns inward, it creates disconnection from self-compassion. You become harsh with yourself in moments that require care. You push instead of pause. You judge instead of listen. And the pain deepens, not because it grows stronger, but because it becomes lonely. Pain that has no witness becomes heavier. This is why awareness matters so deeply. The moment you recognize that your self-criticism is pain in disguise, something changes. You stop fighting yourself. You stop trying to correct an identity that was shaped by survival. You begin to see the pain as information, not a verdict, and information can be understood. Pain does not need to live inside you as shame, confusion, or self-blame. It does not need to define your character or limit your future. It only needed space to be seen. The moment pain stops turning inward, it starts to move, and movement is the beginning of relief. When pain has no name, no story, and no permission to exist, it doesn't disappear. It settles. And the place it settles most quietly is the body. You may not think of your pain as physical, but your body remembers everything your mind postponed. Every emotion you pushed through. Every moment you stayed composed when something inside you wanted to react. Every time you told yourself, I'll deal with this later. The body never forgets later. So pain begins to speak through sensation, a tight chest that appears without reason, a constant tension in the shoulders or jaw, fatigue that sleep doesn't resolve, a heaviness that shows up when things finally slow down. These sensations are not random. They are stored emotion. The body is not dramatic. It doesn't exaggerate. It doesn't analyze. It simply holds what was never released. And when holding becomes too much, it signals. But because this pain has no clear emotional label, you often treat the signal as a problem instead of a message. You try to stretch it away, distract from it, work through it, or ignore it. And the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. This is why the pain feels confusing. You feel uncomfortable, but you don't know why. You feel restless, but you can't explain what you're missing. The body is responding to something unresolved, but the mind has not been invited into the conversation yet. So the two stay disconnected. You live in your thoughts while your body carries the weight. Reconnection begins when you stop asking the body to calm down and start asking what it's holding. When you allow sensation to exist without immediately needing to change it, something shifts. The body begins to soften. Not because the pain is gone, but because it has finally been acknowledged. Pain moves when it feels safe to move. And safety doesn't come from fixing, it comes from presence. The moment you stop treating bodily discomfort as an inconvenience and start seeing it as communication, you reclaim something important, your ability to feel without fear. This is not about becoming fragile, it is about becoming integrated, because the pain you couldn't explain was never just emotional, it was never just mental, it was lived, and your body has been carrying the truth long before your words could catch up. Listening now is not reopening old wounds, it is finally allowing them to heal. One of the most confusing ways pain appears is through emptiness, not sadness, not despair, just a quiet absence of feeling. You wake up and nothing feels particularly wrong, but nothing feels right either. Motivation is low, but not gone. Joy is muted, but not erased. You move through your day with a sense that something is missing, even though you can't say what. This emptiness is often misunderstood. You may think you've healed, that you've moved on, that whatever hurt you is finally behind you. But emptiness is rarely the absence of pain. It is pain that learned to go quiet. When pain was minimized, postponed, or pushed aside for too long, it adapts. It stops asking to be felt directly and becomes numbness instead. Numbness feels safer than sadness. It allows you to function without being overwhelmed, so your system chooses it. Emptiness is the space where emotion was never allowed to land. This is why it feels vague and hard to describe. There is no sharp edge to it, no clear trigger, just a sense of disconnection from yourself, from meaning, from depth. And because emptiness doesn't hurt loudly, you question it. You tell yourself you should be grateful, that nothing terrible is happening, that this feeling doesn't make sense. But emptiness is not a lack of appreciation, it is a lack of expression. It comes from moments where you felt something deeply but had no place to put it, where you adapted instead of reacted, where you stayed functional instead of honest. Over time, those moments stacked on top of each other, until feeling itself became unfamiliar. So now, when things slow down, there is silence, not peace. This silence can feel unsettling. You may try to fill it with activity, noise, stimulation, or constant movement. But the emptiness remains because it isn't asking to be filled, it's asking to be understood. Emptiness is a signal that something inside you has been waiting for attention, waiting for permission to exist, waiting for language. And the moment you stop trying to escape it and begin to listen, the emptiness changes. It becomes space. Space where feeling can return, slowly, gently, in its own time. Because emptiness is not the end of emotion. It is the pause before emotion feels safe enough to come back. And your inner voice knows this. It has been quiet not because there is nothing to say, but because it has been waiting for you to stop running long enough to hear it. Pain begins to loosen its grip the moment it is named. Not explained away, not justified, simply named. Until then, pain lives everywhere at once. It bleeds into your thoughts, your body, your mood, your sense of self. It feels overwhelming because it has no boundaries, it has no edges, it has no place to rest. Naming pain gives it shape. When you finally allow yourself to say, "This hurt," something shifts. The pain no longer needs to spread to be noticed. It doesn't need to disguise itself as exhaustion, irritability, emptiness, or tension. It has been acknowledged. This is why naming pain feels relieving and frightening. Relieving because it brings clarity. Frightening because it makes the pain real. Many people avoid naming their pain because they fear it will make things worse, that it will open something they can't close, that once they say it out loud, even internally, they will be overwhelmed. But unnamed pain already overwhelms you. It just does so quietly, When pain has no name, it controls you from the background. It influences your choices, your reactions, your relationships, without ever being addressed directly. You adapt your life around something you refuse to look at. Naming pain does the opposite. It brings the pain into the foreground, where it can be met, not managed. This does not mean reliving everything. It does not mean blaming the past. It does not mean turning pain into identity. It means giving your experience legitimacy. For many people, the name of the pain is simple: grief that was rushed, anger that was swallowed, loneliness that was normalized, fear that was carried alone, loss that was never acknowledged. These names do not trap you, they orient you. Once pain has language, it can move. It no longer has to stay frozen in the body or diffuse in the mind. It can be felt, processed, and eventually released. This is why awareness is so powerful. Not because it fixes pain, but because it changes your relationship with it. You stop asking, "Why am I like this?" and start asking, "What happened that never got space?" That question is compassionate, and compassion creates safety. When pain feels safe, it doesn't need to linger. It completes its cycle. And what remains is not emptiness, but space. Pain has power when it is unseen, not because it is stronger than you, but because it operates without context. When pain remains in the background, it quietly shapes how you see yourself, how you interpret your emotions, and how you relate to the world. You begin to organize your identity around it. You don't say, "I'm carrying pain." You say, "I am heavy. I am complicated. I am difficult to love." This is how pain stops being an experience and starts becoming a definition. But the moment pain is seen, truly seen, that process begins to reverse. Seeing pain means recognizing it as something that happened to you, not something that is you. It means understanding that the weight you carry was learned, accumulated, and adapted to, not inherent to your nature. This distinction changes everything. When pain is unseen, you react to life from it. You make decisions to avoid triggering it. You build defenses around it. You limit yourself without knowing why. But when pain is acknowledged, it becomes information rather than instruction. You notice when it shows up. You recognize its patterns. You understand what it needs or needed in order to soften. And slowly, it stops running your life. This doesn't mean pain disappears overnight. Awareness does not erase experience. But it does something equally important. It gives you choice. You can feel pain without becoming it. You can carry memory without living inside it. You can acknowledge hurt without letting it define your future. This is where agency returns. You stop identifying with numbness. You stop defining yourself by exhaustion. You stop assuming that the way you feel now is the way you will always feel. Pain loses its authority when it is no longer hidden. Because hidden pain must shout to be heard. Seen pain can speak quietly, and when it speaks quietly, it no longer needs to stay. What remains is not perfection, not constant happiness, but clarity. Clarity about what you've been carrying. Clarity about what belongs to the past. Clarity about who you are beyond survival. You are not your pain, you are the one who survived it. And the moment you see pain clearly, it stops standing between you and your inner voice. It steps aside, allowing you to move forward, not untouched by the past, but no longer shaped by it. That is the quiet power of recognition, and it is already happening the moment you listen. There was never something wrong with you. What you felt was not confusion without cause. It was communication without language. The pain you couldn't explain wasn't trying to hurt you. It was trying to reach you. For a long time, it had no way in. You were busy surviving, adapting, holding yourself together, so the pain learned to speak quietly. It became heaviness instead of sadness, emptiness instead of grief, tension instead of fear. Not because it was weak, but because it learned that louder expressions were not welcome. This is what pain does when it is ignored for too long. It doesn't disappear, it waits. And waiting pain becomes background pain, shaping your mood, your energy, your sense of self, without ever being addressed directly. You began to think this was just how you were, that this dull weight was your personality, that this tiredness was adulthood, that this emptiness was normal. But none of that was true. It was unrecognized experience living inside you. The moment you began listening, really listening, something shifted. The pain no longer had to spread itself thin across your life to be noticed. It could finally exist as what it always was, a response to something that mattered. Pain does not need to be dramatic to be valid. It does not need a story others approve of. It does not need justification. It only needs honesty. When you give pain honesty, it stops controlling you from the shadows. It stops defining your identity. It stops disguising itself as who you are. It becomes something you can feel and then release. This is not about erasing the past, it is about integrating it. You don't move forward by pretending nothing hurt. You move forward by acknowledging that something did and that you survived it. And survival is not the end of the story. Listening is. Listening to what your body has been holding. Listening to what your emotions postponed. Listening to the quiet truth that has been waiting beneath confusion and numbness. Your inner voice has always known what this pain was. It didn't speak loudly because it didn't need to. It trusted that one day you would slow down enough to hear it. And now you are. This is not closure, it is reconnection. The pain you couldn't explain no longer needs to live inside you as weight. It has been heard. And when something is truly heard, it can finally rest. So stay here, not searching for answers, not trying to fix yourself, just listening. That is where healing begins.